All right, thank you. We are back in open session here at 5:50. Call the meeting back to order. Rise and report, we did receive information on a recommended organizational chart, and we're just discussions on that. So going forward, our first thing we have to do is appointment of members for our quarter revision. And the one that we're looking at is that Council of North Middlesex appoints myself, Councillor Keogh, and Councillor Garrett Kingma from Adelaide. There you are, Garrett. Welcome. For the first quarter vision for the Elliott Drainage Works. Do I have a mover for that? Deputy Mayor Hodgins, seconded by Councillor Daigle. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And the second one that the council appoints myself, Councillor Daigle, and Councillor Marissa Vaughn from South Huron. And you're here. Welcome. So can we have a mover for that as well? Councillor Nerda, Councillor Keogh, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. All right, I'm looking for a motion now to convene into quarter revision for the Elliott Drainage Works, followed by the quarter revision for the Colin Vogel's drain. Councillor Keogh, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So our first item, who's going to start? Joanne? And that is for the Colin drain. Sorry? Yes, it is. Sorry.
Okay.
I tried to skip ahead. What was I thinking?
Mayor and members
Go
of
ahead.
the council, in front of you is a report for the quarter revision for the Elliott Drainage Works 2025. The quarter revision allows landowners to challenge their drainage assessments through an appeal quickly and informally. The quarter revision has one power, and it's to reallocate funds in a drainage assessment schedule. The quarter revision has no right to challenge the project, just the assessments. According to Section 52.1 of the Drainage Act, an owner may appeal to the quarter revision on the following grounds: any lands or roads that have been assessed in the amount that is too high or too low, any lands or roads that should have been assessed and have not been assessed, or due consideration has not been given to the use made by the land. An appeal notice is due to the municipal clerk 10 days in advance of the date of the court. However, at their first meeting, the court may, by resolution, agree to hear appeals that were not filed 10 days prior to the hearing date. To date, there has been no appeals. The total estimate of this drain is $238,938. The municipality of North Middlesex has approximately 7 agricultural properties assessed into this drain and Springbank Road. There is also utilities, telecom, and Center Road is assessed. The Township of Adelaide Metcalfe has approximately 18 properties, both agricultural and non-agricultural assessed to this drain, as well as Robotham Road and Center Road. The proposed motion and staff recommendation is that council receives report DIO 12/2026 regarding the quarter revision for the Elliott Drainage Works 2025 for information, and that the quarter revision for the Elliott Drainage Works 2025, having received no appeals, hereby confirm the assessment schedules contained in the engineer's report prepared by R. Dobbin Engineering Incorporated, report dated December 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Josh, is something you'd like to add here at this time?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It looks like at this time, I will ask the court at this time to convene in the next room, and we will discuss it at that point. And I would ask everyone to bear with us. This is a new procedure that we're doing now, and that's going forward. So we'll bring the meeting back to order. At this time, I would ask for a recommendation from the court, from measures. So Garrett and yourself, John.
That we move the recommendation as
Okay, a
Presented.
seconder. Garrett seconds it. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you. All right, the next one is the Conlin Vogel Drain. Go ahead, Joanne.
Mayor and members of council, in front of you is the report for the quarter revision on the Conlon Vogel's drain and Glavensort's drain improvements. The quarter revision allows landowners to challenge their drainage assessments through an appeal quickly and informally. The quarter revision has one power: to relocate funds in a drainage assessment schedule. The quarter revision has no right to change the project, just the assessments. According to section 52(1) of the Drainage Act, an owner may appeal to the quarter revision on any of the following grounds: any lands or roads that have been assessed in the amount that is too high or too low, any lands or roads that have been assessed and should not have been assessed, and due consideration has not been given to the use made by the land. An appeal notice is due to the municipal clerk 10 days in advance of the date of the court. However, at their first meeting, the court may, by resolution, agree to hear appeals that were not filed 10 days prior to the hearing date. To date, there has been no appeals. The total estimate of this drain is $412,390. The municipality of North Middlesex has approximately 7 agricultural properties assessed into this drain, along with Neil Road and half of Mount Carmel Drive. There is utilities, telecom, and water main assessed. The township of South Huron has 1 agricultural property assessed into this municipal drain. Half of Mount Carmel Drive is included, as well as telecom and fiber optic. The proposed motion and staff recommendation is that council receives report DIO 13 of 2026 regarding the quarter revision for the Conlon Vogel's drain and the Glavensort's drain improvements for information, and that the quarter revision for the Conlon Vogel's drain and Glavensort's drain improvements, having received no appeals, hereby confirm the assessment schedule contained in the engineer's report prepared by Dobbin Engineering Incorporated, dated December 1st, 2025.
Thank you, Joanne. Josh, is there anything you'd like to add at this time?
Not at this time. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions before we deliberate from Counselor Vaughn, any questions? Okay, thank you. Then we will once again go into the other room and we'd invite Counselor Vaughn and Counselor Daigle to come. All right, we will reconvene the meeting. And at this time, if there's no questions for the engineer or anything from the committee, from the court, pardon me, I would look for a motion. Passing the recommendation. And a seconder? Thank you very much. And all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, they have to adjourn the court. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn the court. Moved by Counselor Daigle and seconded by Counselor Vaughn. All in favor? That's carried. Okay. Our next item of business is we have to make a motion to go out of court of revision into regular council. Counselor Nerda, Counselor Irwin, all in favor? Carried. And now I need another motion to go to adjourn regular session to Committee of Adjustment. Counselor Irwin and backlift from Counselor Nerda. All in favor? That's carried. So we are in Committee of Adjustment. Thanks. Thank you, Josh. Thanks, everyone. And so we'll turn the meeting over right at this time. Ashley, whenever you're ready, do we have Arthur here on Zoom? Do we have that person? I know I've got to hear that we're going to have. I just want to make sure that they can hear us, that they're online.
I believe he's zooming in from New Brunswick and there might be some technical difficulties, so we could start if you'd like.
Okay. All right, go ahead and start. Ashley, whenever you're ready.
Perfect, thank you. So this minor variance is for 299 Hastings Street. So I'm just going to zoom in on the location map so it's a little bit easier to see. But it's right at the corner of Hastings Street and Eagle Street in Park Hill. And it's approximately 0.17 acres in size. And currently it is vacant of any residential buildings or structures, or any buildings or structures in particular. Surrounding uses are predominantly low-density residential in nature, and the lands are designated in the official plan as residential, and they are zoned in the zoning bylaw as residential density 1, which is your low-density residential zone. The application requests relief from the required rear yard setback, so 7 meters or approximately 23 feet is required, whereas 6.66 meters or 21.85 feet is proposed by the applicant. So this equates to a difference of 0.34 meters or 1.12 feet. And the applicant has indicated that they have a home design completed and are aiming to have the home on the market by April with the home proposal. Upon reviewing the survey, the design exceeds the required rear yard setback. Given they're building the same model in a neighboring municipality of Grand Bend without complication, there is a strong preference to not have to modify the design, which will avoid potential complications and errors with the trades. Additionally, it will avoid additional costs associated with redesign, engineering revisions, and potential delays in construction timelines. The application was circulated in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act, and no comments or concerns were noted by the agencies listed in my report. Emergency Services did note that the existing 911 address of 299 Hastings Street will be maintained. And additionally, no public comments were submitted prior to the submission of my report, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions there may be this evening. So in staff's opinion, the application meets the 4 minor variance tests set out in the Planning Act, which are detailed in my report. And we are recommending the relief be granted for 6.10 meters or 20 feet, as it represents a rounded and more practical measurement for the trades to use, especially during construction. So this will also allow for some potential minor construction variations should it be needed. To simplify my analysis, I will say that staff have reviewed the applicable policies, the location of the lands, the context of the development and surrounding land uses, and all comments provided for feedback, and we are recommending that the variance be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. At this time, there was no written comments, so provision for public comments on this application. Is there anyone in public wants to speak to this? Seeing none, I would ask the committee at this time, questions? No questions from the committee? We have a recommendation in front of us. Moved by Counselor Nerda, second by Counselor Keogh. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And our next one is 9.2, notice public meeting, consider application MV2 2026 located at 5487 Mooresville Drive. And Colleen, you want to come forward? It's up to you. Up here, yeah, to the chair. Welcome. Go ahead, Ashley.
Thank you, Chair Rupp. So this minor variance, as noted, is for 5487 Mooresville Drive, which is located west of Richmond Street or County Road number 4 on the south side of Mooresville Drive. The lands are approximately 1 acre in size, and they currently contain a single detached residential dwelling and a garden shed. Surrounding uses are predominantly agricultural in nature. The lands are designated in the official plan as agricultural, and they are zoned in the zoning bylaw as general agricultural. The application requests relief from the distance to a lot line for an accessory building. So generally 3 meters is required, whereas 1.2 meters is proposed. This equates to a difference of 1.8 meters or 5.9 feet. The owners have indicated that due to the location of the existing single detached dwelling, the location of existing mature trees on the property, as well as the location of their septic system and associated septic bed, they're unable to locate the proposed accessory structure in an area that's capable of complying with the requirements of the zoning bylaw and therefore are requiring the zoning bylaw relief. So staff note in particular that this property is unique, that although others like this occur in the municipality as well, it does contain a general agricultural zone, but it is, however, located on a rural residential parcel that is not used agriculturally. So generally that's where you see those greater setbacks come in. Again, being a little bit nuanced here in that it's a rural residential property, not agricultural. The application was circulated in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act. No comments or concerns were noted by the agencies listed in my report. This also includes Lucan Biddulph, as under the Planning Act, if you're located within 1 kilometer of a neighboring municipality, you have to notify them as well. But again, noted no concerns. Infrastructure and operations did note that if a water service is provided to this garage, it has to be through the existing connection on the property and not a new connection into the water line at the road. And additionally, no public comments were submitted prior to the submission of my report. So in staff's opinion, the application meets the 4 tests of the minor variance in the Planning Act, which are detailed in my report. Again, my report recommendation is based on the applicable policies, the location of the lands, the context of the development and surrounding land uses, and all comments provided for feedback. So I am recommending approval this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Is there anything you'd like to add at this time? Nothing? Okay, I have to ask again if there's anyone from the public who wants to speak on this. Seeing no one, comments, questions from the committee? Seeing none? Moved by Councillor Daigle, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hodgins. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. We need to adjourn this meeting, go into regular session. Councillor Daigle, Councillor Irwin, all in favor? Carried. At this time, before we get into budget, I would ask if the council wishes to go back in camera at this time for closed session on what we were talking about. Seeing no need for it at this time, but I did have to ask. Thank you. Because I think there will be another report coming from as a result of this. And
through your worship, thank you. What I would suggest is that we just receive the report that we received in closed session. In doing so, that is not moving any of the recommendations forward, and that staff will be bringing reports forward to council with regards to movement forward on any of the recommendations, and council can consider those at that time.
okay. All right, our next item of business is the budget. And at this time, I would like to direct staff led by our treasurer, our director of finance, pardon me, to present the revised draft budget on my behalf. We did have a meeting on the 9th after the closure of comments. And I think Councillor Nerdy, you were there after that at least. And so, yes, Ralph, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and on your behalf, I'll note that the proposed motion for this report is simply to accept it for information. There's a number of things that council can do after they've heard the report. Those are all itemized as the next items on the agenda. So what is anticipated is that you'll receive the report for information, that you're going to review what's been proposed and what's there, and avail yourself of this opportunity to submit any further amendments that have 2/3 majority support. If and only if there are no further comments, amendments, or other issues to be considered, then council is suggested that they can waive the remainder of their 30-day period, at which point then the mayor would waive his 7-day response period, and we would be able to declare the revised budget as amended if applicable, that it is now the 2026 adopted budget. I will basically try and keep my part of this very quick and sweet, in that you all already know from what we presented on January 26th, the main meat of the budget. So what I will talk to is that on February 29th, we received one written submission prior to the 9 a.m. deadline and a second written submission just before noon. Both of those submissions were considered and reviewed. And out of those suggestions, this is what occurred. There was a suggestion that a $10,000 for a public works lead hand be removed from the operating budget. That consideration was reviewed and the amount was not removed. There was a second comment that $10,000 for a recreation lead hand be removed from the operating budget. After review and consideration, that amount has been removed from the budget, and staff was directed to return later on with a more in-depth analysis of potential benefits in a future budget submission. I will note that that $10,000 reduction in operating cost was offset by a $10,000 reduction in how much we were accessing from the tax rate mitigation reserve. The $26,000 for a permanent part-time custodian be removed from the operating budget was the next suggestion. That amount was not removed from the budget, as it was pointed out that the position was required to maintain compliance with new legislation that has come in regarding daily cleaning of public washrooms. So whenever a public washroom is open to the public, we have to clean it that same day. There was a suggestion that the $245,000 capital project for a tandem plow equipment be removed from the capital budget. That amount was not removed from the budget, as that is phase 2 of a 2-year purchase of that equipment. It's just the plow equipment to go on the chassis and body that we bought last year for the same amount. We had just split it in half, so we had already made the commitment in the 2025 budget to this, so it remained. That the $12,500 for a land leveler drag be removed from the capital budget. This amount was also not removed from the budget, as a portion of that amount is actually going to be funded from the sale of the derelict that we are replacing with this piece of equipment. And that is expected that this new piece will provide significant efficiencies in the gravel road maintenance. The $18,400 for a tandem flatbed to be removed from the capital budget was also considered. That amount was not removed either, as the project repurposes an asset that's pending retirement to create efficiencies for use of the water tank that's used during the calcium treatment of gravel roads, which is currently now done through a larger piece of equipment that requires a special license that only few of our operators have. The $9,000 for a landscape trailer be removed from the capital budget was the next item. That amount was not removed, as it was found that the anticipated repairs to the existing trailer based on the recent safety review would actually exceed the value of replacing it. That $80,000 for the half-ton pickup be removed from the capital budget. This one was an interesting one. On discussion, it was decided to reduce the $80,000 down to $50,000, and that the $30,000 savings be offset by reducing the amount that was going to come from the reserve. And that staff was directed to purchase an off-lease used vehicle rather than purchase new in order to come down to the 50,000. There was a recommendation that 25,000 for Park Hill Sports Complex paved pathway be removed from the capital budget. On review, the amount was removed and staff was directed to return with a future budget submission that deals with all accessibility requirements at municipal parks and a comprehensive action plan to address them, plus identifying potential grants to aid in funding. So rather than doing our accessibility pathways piecemeal, the direction is to do a full project and get proper external funding if possible. That 25,000 again was reduced from a reserve that it was going to come from. There was a further request that 10,000 for an aluminum ramp be removed from the capital budget. The amount was not removed as the current ramp has been deemed to be a safety hazard and presents a potential liability. So to avoid any exposure, we are going ahead with that replacement. Final request was that 20,000 for ye old town hall windows be added to the operating budget. That amount was not added to the operating budget because replacement of windows is a capital asset betterment. So it would have to go through the capital, it can't go through operating. I know the comment was made that it has in the past, but past errors don't make for a good precedent. We also noted that the amount has been further researched and the 20,000 is insufficient to complete the project. The final number that we discussed was that 50,000 for Elsa Craig Christmas lights be added to the capital budget and funded from the Vibrancy Fund. The amount has been not added to budget as it is being investigated and other sources of support may be available. So this project is continuing, but outside of the purview of the budget in terms of investigation. Overall, the revisions made to the budget reduced operating expenditures by approximately $10,000, which was offset by a reduction to the amount utilized from the tax rate stabilization reserve. And the capital expenditures were reduced by $55,000, which was offset by reductions to the amount utilized from the corresponding capital reserves. So basically nothing changed in terms of the levy. On the screen right now are a number of highlights showing you that the total levy to be raised is going up by $557,640, which is an increase of 5.94%. That is based on levy supported expenditures that are actually dropping by 21%, which if you do some quick math will tell you that our revenues have dropped by about 28%. On the water wastewater side, operating and capital have dropped by a combined 10%, although it's predominantly operating that's dropping and capital is increasing. That, of course, is paid for totally from the water rates and from the water reserves. It does not have access to any levy support. Now, to get to what is actually happening with the property tax bill, property assessment roll grew by 0.76%. So although we are looking at almost a 6% increase in levy required to be raised, we are only going to have to increase the rate 4.52% in order to achieve that. That 4.52% will have the impact of raising what used to be $911.70 or what used to be $872.30, excuse me, on 100,000 assessment to $911.71 or $39.40 per 100,000 assessment which is your 4.52% increase. Any questions?
Questions for clarification on that? Counselor Daigle.
Thank you. The amount you mentioned from the Yield Town Hall of 20,000, you said that it was taken out because it wasn't enough?
Partly because it wasn't enough. What happened is that we had gotten a quote to throw into the budget originally. Further discussions had brought up some questions about the equipment required. Was it cheaper to do it in piecemeal? Could we? And when staff looked into the actual costs of trying to do it more frugally, they found out that their original numbers were too frugal and that we can't actually do it. It's closer to 25,000 to do it.
Yeah, I was just, Kent, can you add to that just what the cost would be?
Thank you, your worship, through you to the counselor, sorry. The initial quote was for the upper windows, the second floor, but there was 14. So that was for 20,000. Upon further investigation, as Ralph mentioned, including the 5 on the main floor, plus the rental of a lift would be closer to $25,000. Thank you.
Okay. Follow up?
Well, we still got to go ahead with it. But if the funding was going to come out of our mitigation reserve or one of those reserves, why can't that be put aside this year for next year to finish the job?
Well, that's a question. And when we go farther on, I mean, there's going to be opportunity here for counselors to make recommendations. And that's, but this is the report of what happened from the 9th. That's what Ralph's reporting. So if there's any other questions for that portion for clarification?
Well, it has to do with one of your prices here in one of your items on truck, actually specifically the truck, replacing the truck.
The pickup truck?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason I bring it up is because I'm looking at another replacement for another organization, which is a brand new 2026 Silverado, and the price of that at 47,333. So I don't know why we're going for a used when we can probably get a new one for less than 50,000.
So I'm going to refer that over to staff. Is that, I'd like to hear on that too, what you're saying.
Through your worship to the council, I guess I would just suggest that from a fleet perspective, what we've been trying to do is standardize what we've been buying. Makes, models, accessories that go on them, things of that nature. Historically speaking, we've been buying more or less Fords exclusively, noting that we have been going through the procurement process to put the prices out. We have historically been buying Fords. We have bought other kinds of vehicles in the past, so that's not suggesting we couldn't do that going forward if that was a cheaper solution for us. So long answer short, yes, that's certainly something that could be done.
I'll
Yeah.
let you know which dealership that they're referring to.
So my comment to that is if the budget's $50,000, if you can buy a brand new truck for $50,000, by all means, but we just lowered that budget amount. It was at 80, I think, originally, correct? And so during deliberation, it was lowered to 50,000. Okay. Any other questions on Ralph's report? Seeing none, I need a motion to accept that report for information. Counselor Irwin, Counselor Canelson, all in favor? That is carried. Now, so the next step is provision for council amendments. And so I think to make this probably more efficient is if somebody wants to make a recommendation, make a motion to add or subtract or whichever, we'd get a seconder for it. And then have discussion, because if, as Ralph pointed out, if there isn't a seconder for it, why are we talking about it? So I think this is our opportunity now, and who wants to start? Counselor Daigle.
Thank you. I'd like to make the recommendation that we add back in the Yale Town Hall windows
So,
to whatever we can finance this year and the balance be next year. So, or if I can say go to the 25,000, I would be happy with that.
okay, so you're your recommendation is to add the windows to it.
Yes.
For this
Okay.
year,
All right.
right?
Yes.
I mean, I hate to see us do half, because if
I
we
agree.
lift twice,
I agree.
whenever we do it, we need to do it. Is there a seconder for that? Counselor Irwin. Now, discussion on it. Counselor Keel.
Just for clarification, is this our staff putting these windows in?
No,
No. Okay.
correct. Where are you? Go ahead, Kent.
Through your worship, it is not.
Okay, so what are we renting a lift for?
Sorry, that was included in the quote for the second floor because they're large windows, they're oversized, so they have to be done on the exterior, like some of the work is done on the exterior of the building.
But is this, so there's a contractor going to do this, is
Yeah,
that correct?
this is just including the lift. Is that what you're
The
meaning?
lift is included in the quote and all the work is being performed by the contractor.
So we're not getting the lift beside, it's just you're adding that to.
Correct. It was included in
Yes.
the 25,000.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Councilor Nelson.
Thank you. Is my understanding that the Director of Facilities and Economic Development is conducting a facilities review, facility studies this year. Is that correct?
Through your worship, that is correct. Yeah.
So has this already been done for the old town hall, or is that building also going to be included in that review?
That building would be included in the review.
So this is kind of premature until we get that report, would it not?
It's been, through your worship, it's been proven that these windows are beginning to fail. So most likely the building condition assessment would reiterate that.
But it would be wise to wait until we get that assessment.
It would, Brandon, are you wanting to speak on that?
Yeah, so through the mayor to the counselor, certainly we can wait for that. You know, there are certain elements of facilities that staff are competent to review, and feeling cold air passing through a closed window, just insulation wise, you can tell those windows have reached the end of their life based on age, based on current state. So my recommendation would be to replace them now. You can wait for that review, but the review from the engineers is going to state the same thing. You can call it premature. You can wait till you have that review, but ultimately the status of those windows is they're pretty much cooked. So it does increase the value of that facility. So.
Well, we're not selling facilities, so I don't see that that raise has any contribution at all. But I think it's wise to wait till we have a report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Irwin.
Thank you, your worship. So I know there was correspondence that came from the old town hall, which also included the Scouts, the Lions Clubs, and other organizations in the community that use that building. It is both a heating and a cooling issue in terms of the winter. This year, they actually had to cancel a meeting because it was too cold and the furnace wouldn't cover the heat of that upstairs facility. And of course, they have lots of challenges in the summer with the increased heat in the air conditioning unit, which they are paying for. So we're not paying for the utilities. They are. Anything we can do to help the community groups that use the facility in terms of lowering those costs, making the heating and cooling units last longer, I think it's worthwhile. And frankly, if we wait a year to replace the windows, there's just going to be more money next year. They're not going to go down in price. So if we have staff recommendation that they have to be, they recommend they should be, I think we should go ahead with that.
So the staff recommendation is they should be, correct? I mean, yeah.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Did you have something, Councilor Keogh? And then I'll come to you.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Rob. Is there any type of grant funding in order to do audits, efficiency audits on these older buildings? Yes, it's common sense that these windows have failed and they're deteriorated, but I think we certainly should have a clear assessment to see whether these things are worth putting money into, and perhaps maybe we can do it all in one, and we can budget accordingly for it versus putting a little bit of money into it, and then we're overlapping in labor, in different things like that. So I certainly would like to see some type of report on, is this building worth putting any money into? Or perhaps put it up for sale.
Okay. All right, thank you. Councilor Nerda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is to you, Brandon. When do you anticipate having this facilities assessment completed and before council?
So through the mayor to the counselor, as soon as budget's approved and we're good to go on that capital project, we'll put it out for tender, and then we'll accept the bids when they come in, and hopefully by early summer, we would have some results.
Brandon?
Okay, so any other comments, questions, Councillor Irwin?
Yeah, just, and I know we moved this item from operating to capital, but last year in operating, we did replace the windows in the senior center in Park Hill. The year before, we did replace windows in one of our public works facilities out of operating both years. So just to say that we've done the precedent, we have replaced windows in other buildings in the life of this particular council. So that's something to consider in terms of why not this building, which frankly is used about 300 times a year by the community.
Okay, so I'd like to get clarification. Oh, do you have another comment? Go ahead, Councillor Nerda.
This may be for Kent. Did we get any other quotes on that? It just seems like a lot of money that we're spending 25,000 to replace the windows. How many quotes did we get? Did we put it out for a tender?
Through your worship to the councillor, we did not put it out for a tender. We just wanted to carry a kind of a general price. That's actually fairly cheap for the amount of windows and they are oversized. So I would be happy to get further quotes if that's the direction council requests.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to get clarification. When this comes to a vote, how many councillors need to vote in favor of it? I know it's 2/3, but is that 4 or is that 5? 4? 4 is 2/3. Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
Would you like me to repeat it?
Yeah, no, you're saying 4 councillors to vote for it. Yes, please just do the motion. Because I understand it's just for doing it, putting it in.
Thank you. And through you, your worship, I first would like clarification on the funding source for how this project would go forward, so I can add it to the recommendation.
From reserve. From reserve, right? From reserve. Okay, working capital reserve. Okay, is there any other comments on this issue? Seeing no other comments, all in favor of that? Opposed? Okay, so that does not carry for this year. All right, so other additions or subtractions to the budget? Any other changes to the budget? Councilor Nerda.
I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about it at this time or under business, but it is regarding the Park Hill walking trail. I know Sam and I was talking about doing this in-house. I don't know if we have any numbers on that and what the total cost, because right now it's $100,000 for a total project cost of $130,000. Do we have the true cost? So I guess it's two-part to staff, to Sam and Brandon, what the true cost of this project is and the cost of moving it in-house versus contracting it out.
So I'll start on that just with my experience working with Nathan from ABCA on the project. The total project cost was based off ABCA contracted out a similar length trail with similar challenges and had that completed north of us, and their total cost for the project was $130,000 contracting everything out. So for the purpose of fundraising, for the purpose of setting a target, $130,000 is the total project cost. That's based on their numbers from a 2024 project. Those numbers probably inflate 2-3%. But overall, the big picture was the more work we can do in-house, the lower that number becomes. What it becomes, that would be what I would leave Sam to answer. And I'm sure we can bring back a staff report later on.
Sam,
Have a follow-up to
I just Sam, do you want to speak on that as well?
The only thing that I would add to my fellow directors' comments there is that I had mentioned this previously. I think it's something that public works staff could certainly do. Now, this year is likely not feasible based on the projects that are slated currently. But I do think it's something that could be considered next year that we look to do in-house. Now, we talked about this previously as well. Obviously, a portion of the trail is on our property and a portion of the trail is on ABCA's property. So we would have to sort out Are we gonna do all of it? Are we gonna split it up and only touch our property and ABCA touch theirs? We'd have to look into those logistics, but just from a logistical standpoint, it's certainly something that we could do in-house. And I agree with Brandon's comments. I think it would be far cheaper. The differentiator would come, how much are we going to do? All of it, only our portion? Are we gonna split it with ABCA or what? And then I don't have an exact figure, so I echo what Brandon said about bringing a report back, but I'll just suggest that I think the trail was almost cut in half between our property and theirs. So even if you just, depending on how the conversation goes, cut the number in half, if we did half and they did half, that's at least a starting point cost. And then I can only imagine it would be cheaper from there just for our own
Okay, thank you.
costs.
Now, go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if you're saying that half for ABCA and half for us, so that's a cost of $50,000 for us, but have we not already, Brandon, fundraised 30,000?
So to date, we do have about 30,000 fundraised. That's through the Friends of North Middlesex Trails. Tracy Pachal is the president of that. So they've been working with us as well as the ABCA. So those funds are for the project as a whole. They're not our funds or ABCA funds. They're just towards this joint effort project. Also, in terms of cutting the project cost in half, the material cost won't change. It's really the labor cost. So what I'll do is I'll ask the ABCA to provide us the breakdown of cost, and then the labor portion is really what we're talking about here. The materials will still be the material cost.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, there's more conversation to have in that. I don't think it's going to fit into this budget this year, but there's certainly work to do and there's some options now, at least going forward. And some foreseeable positive options. Any other items, comments, changes? Counselor Daigle?
The part-time staff are for rec, and the two lead hands, are they in the present budget?
The lead hand for the rec is not in the budget. That was taken out of the budget. The lead hand for the works was left in the budget, as well as the custodian position because of the change in what's the mandate for them.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other changes or comments? Counselor Nerda?
What is the rationale for the lead hand for Public Works?
Through your worship to the counselor, the reason for the lead hand would assist the lead hand and myself now with overworked and other process and keeping up with minimum standards on that end and documenting everything we need to document on that end too. And it's hard for one person as a lead hand to go around for how big of a municipality we are to see each job. We have more than just one job on the go all the time. I'm pulled out of my role as manager too to help assist with lead hand roles because he can't keep up sometimes because it's just way too much for him to do that. So the lead hand would assist on that end, another one. Because we would split the municipality in half. One lead hand would take one side, one lead hand would take the other. And it would assist for taking time off too on that end.
And so this is not a new position created. We have, it would be current staff that would be promoted to lead hand.
That's correct.
Thanks, Brandon.
Okay. Counselor Canellison?
As a follow-up to Councilor Nerv's question, will that create a void in the frontline staff? Are you going to need to hire someone else to fill that void?
Through your worship to the counselor, I wouldn't think so for now. I think we could have that lead hand still do tasks that they did before. It depends on the applicant at the time, what position they were in. But yeah, lead hands are still assisting in operations like running machines and plowing snow and all that operation stuff we do. Yeah.
Okay. Other comments, other suggestions or changes, or Counselor Keel?
Thank you, Mayor Rob. Brandon, with the implementation of another lead hand, would that expedite the inspection and the patrol for gravel roads should we get an influx of calls for ratepayers wanting road grading?
through the worship to the council, for right now, we do have that patroller that does bi-weekly, so we have to patrol our roads every 14 days by minimum standards. So we do our rural roads every 14 days, and then we do our towns every 30 days by minimum standards. So we are keeping up with that on that end. This would just, the lead hand would assist on organizing the work, where to go, what's priority for which road for grading on that end, and hopefully to hope not many calls come through and be more proactive on that end.
I'm sure there will be calls after the weather we're getting today. You know, Mother Nature's not treating us very nice on it today, but other comments I want to make sure council has every opportunity to speak to this, because it's our one time in the year where we get to really go over it. Seeing nothing else. Councilor Nerda?
I have a question, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for Brandon, just on
With Brandon.
our Director of Community Services.
Okay.
For our canteen and booth revenue, we have a decrease of in about 99%. Is that due to contracting that out? And if yes, are we going to revisit that contract? Because they know that we were getting a percentage of their earnings.
So through the mayor to the councillor, that is correct. We're seeing zero revenue and zero expense. So it's cost neutral is what we budgeted. They do provide us 3%. What we've seen so far this year is about $200. So it's year one for them. We'll see what year two looks like, but there is provision in that contract to revisit it. So.
And I don't think it's an accurate statement to say that we don't have any expenses. It's our building. They use our utility, they use our hydro, our water. So
yeah,
I think we're losing money on this, that our revenue is $200. Surely they have to be using more than $200 worth of hydro.
So through the mayor to the councillor, certainly that is correct. I was looking at it as what we tracked prior versus what we tracked now. We've never tracked hydro cost. We've never tracked heat cost to that canteen when we ran it ourselves. Those expense lines went to the arena the same as they do. So we would have to sub-meter that to get true accurate data on what it would be, and then to compare it to what we used to run in terms of deficit. It would just increase the previous deficit that we used to run as well. So when we used to lose 10,000, that number would probably be closer to 15 or 20. So
Brandon, what historically have we been has been the losses on the canteen each year in the past?
Historically, we would be low five figures, so 10 to 12, somewhere in there.
Okay, thank you. Did you? Yep. Okay, go
I
ahead.
have another question for Brandon. For the arena floor rental subtotal, again, we see a loss of 91%. Can you explain why we have loss in revenue there when we voted to get that new scoreboard, that there would be events and things of that nature to promote revenue? Why are we at a loss?
So through the mayor to the councillor, what we've seen is we extended our ice season. So when that extends into late May, it does eliminate a lot of our potential stag and does. During the summer months, we do have 5 fun days, which is rental that is donated through the community development fund. So we do not see any revenue from that anymore, where that used to be about 5,500, 6,000. We've tried to support people getting ball hockey started. That hasn't really taken off the ground. We do see some pickleball in the arena during the summer months, but overall there hasn't been as much interest in the facility as we've expected. This year, as you may have seen this morning, we do have a concert coming May 30th to the HMS Insurance Center. We have Dallas Smith coming. So that's something, if it goes well, we'll try and do another one this summer, or next year we'll look at doing 2. But yeah, it's a combination of our ice season is now end of May, and then we're firing up the plant at start of August. So we're really June and July that we have, and then the rentals just haven't been there.
I just have a follow-up to that.
Go ahead.
And so, but is money that, the revenue that we are getting, is that going to us or is that going to the Stars who either in partnership or who are spearheading this whole concert project?
So it is certainly in partnership. We will be collecting our facility rental fee, which is about $1,000. So they're renting the facility from us the same as if anyone else in the community rented it. And then they provide that's all of our involvement is. We're there, we're staffing it the same way we would a Stag and Doe, and they're required to do the security, they're required to do the insurance, they're required to do everything else. So the fundraising between them and the Stars is not our involvement. We're collecting our facility fee and providing them the facility.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right, looking for more, whether there's add-ons, as I say, or subtractions from the budget. Whatever, yeah, that's what we're asking for. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this one is for you, Sam. For our development charges, I only see in the budget that we have development charges for W1, so I'm guessing that's Ward 1. And we've collected nothing in revenue? What's going on with that? Are we collecting development charges? Are we not?
Through your worship to the councillor, I would suggest that's a question better answered by the treasurer.
I'll bounce it right back at you. Development charges are actually instigated by our chief building officer, and I only provide the interest rate that we're going to charge on them if they're not being paid immediately.
Carolyn.
Just to remind council of the changes that did take place in development charges. Often now, or in most cases now, they're paid at the occupancy stage. Our development in Park Hill, which is Ward 1, has reduced. Elsa Craig is still going fast and furious, but Park Hill hasn't been as productive this past year. And for the couple that have moved forward, they probably aren't to occupancy at this point. So it'll be coming in our 26 numbers when they pay it at this point.
Will there be an update though at some point this year here to talk about the development charges?
We certainly can look into that, something we can discuss. Yes, I mean, what we'll be having shortly is our report from our CBO with regard to building permits issued.
Okay.
And that's coming to I think it's the next meeting, which I have seen that report, so I can speak to the number of permits issued for new homes in the various areas. Our development is going fast and furious in Elsa Craig, but not so much in Park Hill. In fact, our numbers for new homes in North Middlesex are the same rate as Middlesex Center. So our numbers are very high. They're just not happening as much in Park Hill.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. Other questions? Councillor Irwin.
Thank you, Your Worship. We're just asking questions and clarification. I just have two clarifications questions on the operating budget, just to help me out. Page 7, halfway down, building professional services. I imagine that's the chief building official. In 2024, it was 129,000, and today it's 275,000 in terms of expenditure. Can we have an explanation on that, please? Page 7 of 30. It is about 40% down the page under and it's building professional services, which is the chief building official cost.
That is the cost for a contract with Middlesex Center.
Right. So it's gone from 129 to 275.
We get charged based on the work that is happening.
Okay.
So as we can see, our number of permits in comparison with other municipalities remain very high and have been continuing to go up. You'll see that report next time. So it's reflective of that.
Oh, that's very good because it's going to come up later tonight in the agenda. So it's good to have that number. And I know we talked about this in our budget review previously. But could you clarify what is going on with fuel on page 11 at the bottom? Our fuel cost is up 200%. And I think there was just we were just reallocating or maybe recovering, but I can't quite remember what that rationale was on that.
That was a case of the fuel was being purchased and put into inventory, but there was never any communication as to how much was being used out of the inventory. So it was never expensed. You will find that when we finally get the 23 and 24 audited statements done, those things are being corrected. Fuel was running about 200,000 a year in costs across the corporation, as opposed to just piling up in a GL account like it had been.
Okay, thank you. And through you, your worship, seeing that if there are no further comments, amendments, or issues requiring resolution, it is up to council to pass a resolution that would waive the 30-day review period for the mayor's 2026 proposed budget. So it would waive the balance of those 30 days. So the recommendation before council for consideration is that council, having received no further comments, amendments, or issues requiring resolution, hereby waives the balance of the 30-day review period for the mayor's 2026 proposed budget.
Is there a mover for that? No mover for that? You'll move that? Okay, is there a seconder? Seconded by Deputy Mayor. Comments, conversation on it?
I have some clarification. So by waiving our 30 days, we have no further kick at the can at this?
On changes, correct.
Thank you. And through you, your worship, under the strong mayor legislation, council was afforded the 30-day review period. Once it was presented to council, there was a 2-week period for consultation with the public, as well as the opportunity for council to request further clarification, ask questions, have internal meetings with finance and relevant departments. Tonight's presentation was to include the amendments from the public as well as those submitted by council, and seeing that there were no further amendments proposed by council as last call made by the mayor, that is the recommendation on the floor. So if that is the will of council, then this would be council saying that, yes, we've reviewed and we're waiving our 30-day, the remainder of 30 day. So that brings us to February 25th is the last day that council could potentially review this.
Okay, Councilor Canellison.
What catastrophes would befall us if we did not waive it today?
Thank you. And through you, your worship. Well, the province has graciously given us strong mayor powers. So if the mayor does not adopt his budget within the 30-day review period, the budget cycle differs back to the typical procedure for council to approve. I would suggest you have made significant effort and we are at this point. And if there were no further amendments, then this would be staff recommendation to proceed with this.
Okay,
So the follow would be minimal.
Thank you, and through you, your worship. It is the province recommendation that council utilizes a strong mayor's framework to support provincial priorities at this time. And so if we do not follow the framework and legislation as proposed, we could be subject to penalties by the ministry. However, if you do not follow the framework, then it differs back to the typical cycle.
Okay, thank you.
Sam.
I would just add as an additional data point here, obviously subject to whatever happens with the discussions tonight, there are a few projects that are in infrastructure and operations, and specifically that we need to start moving forward immediately just based on funding timelines and things to do with our TPA. So I would just ask that if the 30-day does not get waived, that we can look to pre-approve both the William Street and the Mount Carmel project so that staff can continue to move those projects forward based on funding.
I would also add that we have in our reports tonight about the gravel as well, so we should probably move that for ahead as well.
And the gravel and the calcium were pre-approved to go forward with that, I believe, in the fall, correct? This tonight is about approving the tender process and putting it. So anything you want to add to that, Sam? I think that's pretty straightforward, but
I was just going to add that calcium is pre-approved. Gravel has not necessarily been pre-approved yet. It's been tendered, but we have not been able to award it.
okay, we haven't awarded it yet, but it was pre-approved to go to tender for the amount. Okay. So, but what's the wish of council here? I mean, the opportunity here, of course, is for any changes that council would like to see happen. I'm certainly, if we have a representation here at council that want to see a change, I'm not going to fight with that. If that's council's wish, then let's do it and move on. But I haven't heard anything yet where council has brought anything forward. And my question is, what's difference does a week make? It's just a question to you. Councillor Daigle.
So if I were to propose not moving forward with the capital portion, the 32, I think it's 32 projects now, that each of those requires a separate motion of council to approve, to move forward with. We could do the three, I think that you were talking about, but the other projects that doesn't go until we're sure we've got the funding.
So I think a recommendation, which you mentioned the other day about, just because we approve the budget doesn't mean we run out today and go do all those capital projects, that they're spaced out. Correct? That was a comment that you made the other day.
Agreed, but what's to stop that from happening? If the budget's approved.
Our CAO and our director of finance. Through recommendation, that's what. But so I'm trying to get some clarification here. You're saying we're going to approve the budget, but not really approve the budget, or what are we going to do here? I want to hear. Sam.
Yeah, through your worship, I don't want to continue to play devil's advocate here, but I can name a number of other projects that the water wastewater rate study is a good example. We need to start it. We need to get it done because in order to set the rates for next year, the work has to be done. So there's projects like that we certainly should not delay if we want to keep processes moving forward.
And I think every department's can voice to some things that are happening. Councillor Irwin.
Thank you, Your Worship. As this is a new process, I have a process question. We have 1 week left in terms of the 30-day period. Do we have to reconvene then and vote in 1 week?
Thank you, and through your worship, you are afforded 30 days to review. Council can convene a meeting, but you would have to do so by the provisions of your procedural bylaw, which would essentially reduce the time by 3 days. And so you have 4 days.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the date and everything, yeah.
Just for clarification, it's a new process. We're all trying to understand it.
It is.
Trying to understand it better.
Yeah.
So if we don't vote on yes on this motion tonight, we need to come back in a week. Is that correct?
Thank you, and through you. That is correct.
Okay.
I would like to know the reason for it, the purpose for it. But Councillor Keogh.
Well, I guess I'll just make the comment. What's going to change in a week?
Right.
So
That's what I'm trying to, we have a motion in front of us right now. Let's find out where we're going with this. We have a motion can you read the motion now, please?
Yes, thank you. So the motion currently on the floor, moved by Councillor Irwin and seconded by Deputy Mayor Hodgins, is that council, having received no further comments, amendments, or issues requiring resolution, hereby waives the balance of the 30-day review period for the mayor's 2026 proposed budget.
Okay. I think we've talked about it enough. In favor of that motion. One more comment.
To add to Councillor Daggle's comment, I think we need to defer some of these capital projects until we know how we're gonna fund them. So procedurally, how do we do that as this new process? I'm not really sure how that works.
Thank you, and through your worship, I believe the treasurer would be best suited to explain this. However, I do think that each of the capital projects would have a funding source listed.
As currently listed, all of the capital projects are being funded by reserves. The concern is the status of the reserves.
That's
And
correct.
as I've said in the past, we have some cash flow if those things that have been
Yes.
itemized that should be arriving, the balance of claims from prior projects that haven't arrived yet. If those things come in, then we will have enough cash flow to do what is in this budget, but it will leave 2027 with no kitty to start from.
And what happens if we don't get that money?
Then we'll be having a special meeting about loans.
Thank you, Ralph.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. In favor of the motion. Five in favor, opposed, two opposed, that does carry. So we're done with that? What's that?
Thank you, and through you, your worship. Item 10.4 would be mayor's consideration of the review period. This is where the mayor will have the opportunity to consider waiving his 7-day response period to councils.
Okay, do I have to do that in writing? Because I do waive that. Okay. So now therefore, Brian Rupp, Mayor of Municipality North Middlesex, having prepared and presented the mayor's 26 proposed budget to council in accordance with the Municipal Act 2001 and the Ontario Regulation 530-22, and received no further comments, amendments, or issues requiring resolution with respect to the mayor's proposed budget for 2026, I'm satisfied I have no further consideration is required.
Thank you, and through you. So item 10.5 following that would be the completion of council review, which to staff would look for a recommendation that council acknowledges receipt and completion of its review of the mayor's 2026 budget in accordance with section 284 of the Municipal Act 2001.
Is there a mover for that? Deputy Mayor Hodgins, Councilor Knellison, all in favor? 5 in favor, 2 opposed? 2 opposed. Councilor Irwin.
Again, a process question because it's a due process. My understanding is now council has to approve the levy at some point, but I don't see that on the agenda here. Do we have to approve the levy increase? Or did
What
we?
you've just done is approve the operating and capital budgets.
So the budget, so 10.5 is the levy increase.
The whole budget.
Was it?
What you've approved is the whole budget, which requires us to raise the 9.9 million or whatever I don't have the number in
Yep.
front of me
No,
anymore.
that's fine.
So that you've approved that. I will come back at the next council meeting with your tax levy bylaw.
Right.
And that will set what is the actual tax rates. and what is the county portion and what is the school board portion. And we will pass that bylaw at that point in time, and that will be an actual motion that the council will have to endorse at that point.
Right. Okay,
All right,
thank you.
okay. All right, what's that? Yep, go ahead.
Thank you, and through your worship, just to add a point of clarification on the process. So typically through this process, there would have been a budget that council would have adopted tonight through strong mayor legislation. There isn't such a bylaw. However, the recommendation that council just passed acknowledged council's role in the process. What's to come next is that under the framework, the mayor needs to sign a declaration issuing his decision to adopt the budget, and that will be forthcoming. So Mayor Op will sign the declaration. It will be posted according to legislation on our socials and our webpage. And then at the next meeting of council, where you will see the tax rate bylaw, the declaration will be provided to council so that you'll all be aware that it has been adopted. Thank you.
So I would say the one thing I would like to see changed going forward next year is we didn't spend any time on operating when we came here. We had not much conversation on our operating budget. A lot of questions asked tonight were operating questions. And I think we'll have to spend more time going forward on that operating part, especially the numbers that change a lot to find out what's going on. That's just what I'd like to see going forward. But I think that's it for budget. So we can move on to department reports. Report from Director of Infrastructure and Operations, and that's on the North Middlesex Mosquito Abatement Program.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship, and through you and to all the members of council. Before you this evening is report DIO 17 of 2026, which puts forward a proposal to hire Pistalto Environmental Health Services to carry on with the North Middlesex Mosquito Abatement Program for this year. You'll note in my report key highlights that council has been previously approving this program at least from 2020 and beyond. That includes targeting stagnant water within 2 kilometers of Park Hill, Alsa Craig, and Nairn. And the program is conducted annually. It typically begins in the late winter, so we generally start around the start of January, and it continues throughout the summer season every year. So staff historically always do and have already this year been consulting with Middlesex London Health Unit to align the program with efforts to combat the West Nile virus, and applications and public consultation requirements through the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change are being completed to meet the spring larval control timeline. So for us to do the program in 2026, we've already actively had to have work on this since the start of January. So it's good that we had the budget conversation, because obviously subject to that, if this was not something that got approved, then we would obviously stop working on it. But we have been working on it for about the last month here. And then as we always do through the program, we will continue to provide regular updates on the program through all of our website and socials and all of that stuff. So you'll note in the finance summary and the quote that I provided that Pistalto's gave us a price of just over $52,000, which excludes HST. But you also note in historic spending that generally speaking, over the past couple of years, we've been well below that number. It all depends on how many sprays we have to do. So historically, we've recently had to do about 2 sprays, which is why it's well under. But if we estimate that we need to do about 3, which we have had to do before, this will be the number that we will be around. This number and this process has already been carried in the budget, so that was taken care of from that perspective. So the recommendations before council this evening on this report are that council receive report DIO 17 of 2026 regarding the North Middlesex Mosquito Abatement Program 2026 for information, and that subject to budget approval, council award these services to Pistalto Environmental Health Services, Inc. in the amount of $52,144, excluding HST, and that council enter into an agreement with Pistalto Environmental Health Services, Inc. for these respective services, pardon me.
Thank you. Questions on it? Questions on this report? We have done 3 larvicidings in the past. It's still come in under our budget that they always give us, but and they also do some walking along the trail as well, right? Any other questions on this? All right, we have a recommendation in front of us, moved by Councillor Keogh, seconded by Counselor Nerda, all in favor? That is carried. All right, our next one is on the William Street Pumping Station.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship, and to you and all the members of council. Before you this evening is report DIO 19 of 2026, which provides council with the transfer payment agreement that comes through the funding from the province for the William Street Pumping Station project. Some key highlights you'll note in my report, and this is not new information, but I'll just reiterate it back to council tonight, that the municipality was approved for provincial funding under the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund. Intake Top Up 2 is what they called it. And this funding is to support the William Street Pumping Station and wastewater treatment plant infrastructure upgrades in Elsa Craig. The transfer payment agreement that's attached outlines eligible costs, reporting requirement, milestone payments, and the municipality's obligation. And the agreement reiterates that the province will be providing us with up to 73% of eligible project costs, up to a maximum contribution of $5,533,128. And further on in the council agenda this evening, it's also required as part of this TPA that we enter into the agreement with the province, and then we buy lot, and then that satisfies the milestone 1 obligations that we have under the TPA. So I'll just reiterate a little bit of finances to do with the project. The costs that we've estimated through the agreement are roughly 7.5 million. Again, the province is contributing just about 5.5 million, or 73%. And it's noted that the remaining project costs will be funded by the municipality through alternative funding sources. But again, I'll remind council that the way staff has set up this project from a scheduling perspective, and the budget will sort of follow that, and the agreement follows that as well. We anticipate spending about $1.5 million in 2026. And then we expect to spend the bulk of it in 2027, and then do the cleanup of the project early in 2028. So the bulk of the spending will come in 27, with minor cleanup in 2028. And funding will be provided to the municipality on a milestone basis, subject to compliance with reporting and project requirements, which again, you'll note in the TPA that is appended to the report in the bylaw. So recommendations before council this evening on this report are that council receive report DIO 19 of 2026 regarding the William Street Pumping Station upgrades, transfer payment agreement for information, and that council authorize by bylaw the execution of a transfer payment agreement between the municipality of North Middlesex and His Majesty the King in Right of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Infrastructure, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the agreement and any ancillary documents required to give effect to the funding as presented by bylaw. Thanks.
Questions on that? Seeing none, we have a recommendation in front of us. Counselor Nerda, Counselor Keough, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. The next one is the gravel tender results.
To the mayor and members of council, before you is this evening's report DIO 14/2026 regarding the 2026 gravel tender results. Part of the annual gravel maintenance program, 40,000 ton would be applied to the gravel roads, 5,000 for stockpile for future operational needs. So it'll be a total of 45,000 tons purchased. Financial summary on this, the recommendation awarded of 769,500 excluding HST. Recommendation that council receive report DIO 14/2026 regarding the gravel tender results 2026 for information, and that council award the 2026 gravel tender to E&W Blaine Trucking and Excavating Limited in the amount of 769,500 excluding HST.
Brandon, how many tender applications did we have?
We had 3 applicants that
Okay.
applied for it.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Other questions, council? Moved by Deputy Mayor Hodgins, seconder, Counselor Keough, all in favor? Carried. Thanks. Thanks, Brandon. Our next one is the play school lease update. Who's doing that? Kent, are you doing that?
Thank you, Your Worship. To you and members of council, in front of you is report DEDCS 01 of 2026 regarding the Elsie Craig preschool play school lease update. The Play School has increased their hours based on community demand, and within the increased hours is now required to provide midday meals to the students. In this new agreement, request for kitchen use would increase their monthly lease payment by $50 to $390. Kitchen use is subject to private rentals, and they would not have access to the kitchen during those times. Motion of this report is for council to direct staff to approve the lease amendment with the updated terms. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
All right, questions? I have one, and that is, if they are being bumped from the kitchen, they gotta have a certain amount of time, to be notified, I assume.
To your worship, that's correct. If it might be a last minute rental, like a funeral or something like that, but they have in place a plan for meals if that was to happen.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council on this? Seeing none, we have a recommendation. Councilor Irwin, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hodgins. All in favor? That's carried. Thanks. Next one, 11.5, and that is on the economic development and community services for the East Williams rink.
Thank you, your worship. To you and members of council, in front of you is report DEDCS 02 of 2026 regarding the East Williams Optimus lease. The highlighted change in this agreement is that the municipality will no longer be renting out the kitchen portion of the pavilion, and it will be under the responsibility of the Optimus Club to operate and maintain. The new lease is a 4-year term with renewal in 2030. Motion of this report is for council to direct staff to approve the updates to the lease terms for the ice rink, kitchen, and meeting space at the Nairn Optimus Park. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Questions on this one? No questions. I saw they were barbecuing hot dogs at their last family skate. They were outside barbecuing hot dogs, but everybody seemed to enjoy themselves. If there's no questions or recommendation, moved by Councilor Keough.
No, I just have
Oh,
one question.
Go ahead.
Kent, the Optimus Club has reviewed the lease agreement and are content with it?
Through your worship to the councillor, they have reviewed it. They had a meeting last week, and I have plans to talk to the president this week.
Okay. Should we maybe hear back from them before we move this, just to make sure that they're happy?
To defer
Brandon's
it?
got something.
Yeah.
Brandon's online.
Brandon,
Oh,
go ahead.
thanks, Brandon.
So through the mayor to the councillor, the framework of the agreement with respect to the kitchen, which is the major change, unfortunately, there isn't wiggle room there just with our FPO. Their president's aware of that. So any minor tweaks that are still in the same basically direction that this agreement is, we will write in as long as it doesn't change the overall framework in terms of costs or liabilities or anything like that. So I don't foresee anything changing. It might be a minor tweak here or there, but that would be within staff's guys to execute the agreement.
Okay, I'm satisfied with that. Yeah,
You are satisfied with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you going to move this recommendation?
I'll move it.
Okay. Second by Councilor Irwin. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks to staff committee reports. Lake Huron Primary.
Meeting sometime first part of March.
Okay. ABCA.
Yes, the CAO and I have a meeting with Davin and Nathan tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to discuss the trail here in Park Hill and perhaps the ABC purchasing the property.
Okay, thank you. Blue Water Recycling.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Economic Development.
Thank you, your worship. There are a couple of motions that came out of the meeting for council to consider last week, but before I speak to them, and certainly would like the manager of economic development and the deputy mayor who are both at the meeting to add to my comments if I missed anything. These came out of a considerable amount of angst that people in the committee were having regarding the whole development process, development being seen as a major component of economic development. And I think the angst came from just how long a process took to get approved, and also some concerns around how the building official office was currently being run. And I'm not personally adding my comments to that. That's the feedback from the committee. I think we remember as a council 2 years ago, and this did not come up at the meeting, but I thought about it subsequently. There was a discussion that someone from the CBO office would actually be here and provide counter service for a couple of days a week. And if someone came, they could sit down and go through the plans with them and approve them and make the changes. And none of that came up at the meeting. None of that was discussed at the meeting. The meeting was basically around how can I, but I'm trying to be politic here and polite, was just around what they saw as obstacles in the process. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. Deputy Mayor, did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I don't think I've missed anything, and I'm just trying to be polite around some of the comments and paraphrase what was said at the meeting, right? And yeah.
If I may, your worship, just to respond to the councillor's comments, we do have a building official here in the office 1 day a week for the morning. That was what the fulfillment of my request was from, I think, 2 years ago. We certainly can ask for a more time, but at this point, that is what I asked for, and that's what we've been granted, and that is being fulfilled with the rare occasion where there's a staffing or issue or a vacation, but they are here.
And I'm not going to wax nostalgic about our previous building official and his capacity to the job, but simply saying that there was feeling that if having somebody here full time who knew the community full time and one person would provide a better service, and that was discussed at the meeting. Hence the motion that came forward. So I was interested to see what we are paying for this service, and it was in the budget, and that's why I asked the question earlier this evening. For the whole package around building, we're now budgeting $275,000. So that's significant cost. What level of service are we getting for that is the question that the committee had. And that's why that first motion in-house came from. The second motion came from, can there just be a single source of contact for development projects? So if someone comes forward and says, I have an idea of project, okay, this is a staff person. That staff person then will act like a navigator. That was the term. I'm trying to figure, facilitator, whatever terminology you want to use, to help the person move through the approval process that they have to do, as opposed to them getting, an email from this person or that person and missing something and not understanding the process. And that wasn't simply just non-developers. We also have people from who are in the real estate business. So some developers are having challenges with that too. So the idea was, can we implement not a hire, not a person, but a facilitation or navigation process to help people ease them through the challenges they may have in their development venture. And I think that was basically the gist of it. I'm going to ask the other two people who were in the meeting, did I miss anything from my comments? That seemed to be the
Those were the two wishes that came from the majority, well, I won't say the majority, of some concerned members on that committee.
That's right.
Of how to handle it. I'm not sure there was a sense of reality behind it at the time, but we heard their words is what we were there to hear,
So that's the background for the two motions you see in front of it for council. And any questions or on that, we're happy to answer at this time.
So I would like to hear staff talk mostly about the second one, about this navigator position and what the process now compared to, what is seen to be.
To your worship. So at this point in time, the process has been amended since I arrived. When I first arrived, there was definitely a misjointed process, and I don't want to lay any blame on anybody, but we certainly needed to do some improvements. And since that time, we've brought on board a planner who is very much in keeping with the mindset. She is very responsive to applicants and is probably the one that in a lot of ways is seen as the navigator, as you would call them. In addition to that, our Director of Infrastructure has worked with our planner to help facilitate our regular development meetings. So on a regular basis, every 2 weeks, we meet as a group, which can include ABCA, include the members, representatives from the county, certainly municipal staff, the applicant, and go over all of the issues to do with their application so that they are always kept apprised of what's going on with their application and what's happening, any updates on it. So that has also been added so that especially on the larger application, that's utilized. When it's coming to just straight building permits, certainly that is handled through our needs department and are utilized. I will say that having someone in the office 1 day a week has been beneficial, not just for the public, but for staff. And we've added an additional day since my arrival of having the planner here. So the planner is here 2 days a week. And if needed, has brought in more. So we have a collaborative team that works very closely together it's not used the same words as this, but I would suggest we have a program utilizing our team, and I would say it's headed up by our planner.
Okay. And Councillor Daigle.
Just on the building department being here 1 day a week, is that spelled out for the people when they come in for a building permit? If you've got this person's here only 1 day a week, you must, contain yourself to those times. Same with the planner.
I would certainly check with communications when the last time we put it out. Certainly we have given information, and I'm sure the building department shares that when applications are submitted, as well as the planning applications. But certainly it wouldn't hurt to continue to put that information out there on a regular basis so people know that if they want to have a face-to-face discussion with a planner or a building official, that they can on those days. It's still always recommended that they call ahead and make an appointment, because both of those people do end up in a lot of meetings when they are in the building. But certainly I would encourage looking at Felicia if we can work on putting that communication out more.
Follow up.
Well, I was just thinking, something like an information letter that gets attached to each building permit application. So they've got it.
I will certainly suggest that too. Remember, we're doing most things through Cloud Permit now. So it's not, when they're submitted, it's done all online, but something can likely be put on there.
Okay, Councillor Canellison.
Yes, my question I think might be for Sam. I'm not sure, but I think it might be, could one building official handle what's happening in our community right now?
Through your worship to the councillor, I would suggest probably not.
So we probably need at least 2 plus an assistant.
I don't know. Well, you'd only technically have one chief building official, but if there would be other staff involved for sure.
Mhm.
And I would, just before we move on, I was just going to add that I know between the planner and myself, we're, at least with the way the process works now, I feel like it's laid out pretty well. So I think I can speak on both of our behalfs when I say if there's areas from the committee that they think it's lacking that we could improve on, by all means, please let us know. Because I think between the both of us, we're open to feedback on if there's things we can do better.
Thank you.
Yeah, my comment to that was, if we were to bring a building official in, it's a whole department we'd be building, not one person, it's a department. But if there's some efficiencies that we can help with, to your point, Councillor Keel.
Just a comment. We have been down this road before and have hired a building official and an assistant. And I think did it even last the 3-month period once they found out how much work was involved? That I simply think that the system we have now is quite easily to navigate through. I know I have had people call and want to know how to go about permits, and it's very easy just to refer their number to the person expressing the interest, and it's taken care of from there.
Mhm.
They line up their own appointments, they get a little lesson on the cloud permit. And the next thing you know, it's a permit and it's a job that's moving forward. So I'm very content with the way things are right now.
I think I agree with you as far as the how we're doing our building with the building official, everything. And we certainly is a hands-off position. We can't do any direction towards what the building official, but if there's some tweaks that we can do to help our efficiency, by all means, let's look into that
But-
and see if we can.
But certainly we got our eyes open when we did hire.
Oh, we sure did.
a
And we even
CBO.
tried it being in a partnership with a
Yeah.
couple of other municipalities. Councillor Irwin.
I understand the concerns of council. I just don't want to minimize the feedback we got from our committee, because they're all business owners in our community, every single one of them. So I'm wondering, we still only have someone from the CBO office here a half a day a week? Is it still only half a day a week?
That is correct. I haven't requested any greater amount of time, but certainly if that's our wish or council's wish, I certainly can do so. The office that is used is shared with the planner, so the planner is here 2 days, so if there are 3 days that the office is currently available to be used by an inspector if we so chose to ask for that. At this point, there's been no request from the public, so I haven't asked for additional time. They do attend meetings here on other days when requested, but to actually be seated in this office, they're here for one morning a week.
So can I ask staff, do you feel that the planner being here 2 days a week is sufficient? In the way that is, or should it be bumped up?
Certainly, I can see Sam wants to make a comment too. I certainly, if I was to bump up more days, I would suggest for our planner here. That is the individual that we have a lot of involvement between departments, even more so than the CBO. Only because from a lot of perspectives, once the building permit is issued, a lot of our work is done. And when the planner is doing it, it's involving all of the departments often. So that would be my comment. If we are increasing a day, I would probably put it there, but certainly we could also look at the building inspector, but certainly Sam had a comment.
Oh, I echo the comments. I was going to say the same thing.
Okay. Councillor Irwin.
No, I'm not trying to micromanage or even reach a solution at the council table tonight, but it's worth considering extending counter time or in-person time for, I would say what we heard, the CBO. We did ask the planner at a previous council meeting how much of her time was dedicated to North Middlesex. She said almost all of it. So it is our planner. So whether she's here or there, that's neither here nor there, right?
I think her schedule right now is she spends one day at the county, at least one day at Adelaide Metcalf, or maybe two. I'm not sure. But oh dear. Certainly we could ask for maybe stealing a day from Adelaide Metcalf might be possible. I don't know.
And I would love to get staff's feedback around how we could, at least in the communication sense, formalize what the committee called a navigator or a facilitation process so the public better understands what we can do to help them through their projects.
I think something that could be done is maybe a flow chart or something of that nature that could be put at the front of building applications so they understand a little bit more. I've seen that done with the planning process or the building process. It's already been suggested talking about the hours they're here. I'll be honest, I haven't heard any concerns with regard to our building process directly. I used to hear a lot of concerns about planning, and that's ended as well. And I'm not trying to point fingers at anyone, but since we've had our current planner on board, I haven't received a negative comment.
And it wasn't about a person specifically. It was about trying to navigate the process. So I wish you were at the meeting last Thursday because you would have heard a lot.
I wish I had been there as well. I concur.
Okay, anything else on that? Pardon? Yes.
Thank you, and through you. With my department specifically regarding customer service, we do get quite a few comments or questions about putting in applications on the cloud permit software. And so we do regularly help people at the front counter navigate the software, book appointments with the building officials. And also, I think it would be worth noting that Ashley, the planner, and Felicia are recently working on revamping the web pages for planning and then also building to make it more user-friendly. We do include guides on there, how-to videos on how to use the platform, but there may still be growing pains on moving it virtually. So we are actively trying to help the public through that.
But that's a good point to add on to it. Okay, anything else? Your your your
Sorry.
microphone's off. Okay.
That happened last week, last meeting too. I got two motions here from the committee. How would we like to proceed with those, your worship?
These are recommendations that come from the committee.
That's correct.
Yeah, we can receive as if for information. Officially, we just receive as information for now. Yep. Okay. Do we have to move those minutes right now?
Thank you. And through you, you do not have to move the minutes, but I would seek a recommendation to receive the recommendations from the Economic Development Advisory Committee for information.
Okay, look for that. Counselor Daigle, Counselor Irwin, all in favor? Carried. Okay. All right, so we'll carry on. Local school advisory.
No meeting at this time, your worship, though I recommend we have one in March because we did promise the community and the committee a public meeting at some point. And we need to begin to think about hosting that meeting, I'd suggest in April.
Okay. Okay. Recreation Committee?
Next Tuesday, we have a meeting.
Oh, yeah. I got to go to that, don't I? Okay. Okay. Anything for the Rec Committee? If not, Policy Committee? Nothing there. right
March
now?
11th.
Okay. Fire Committee?
Yes, we had a meeting the other day and I think Chief Jones would like to file a report.
Thank you. Through the mayor. We discussed the terms of reference at the last meeting, introduced the new acting deputy or district chiefs. We reported to the committee on awards and recognition and specifically the wearing of the CVFSA medal. We discussed bringing a program in-house similar to Firemark for billing for fire responses, similar to what we do for motor vehicle collisions. We reported on the activities of the department in the past 6 months. And we made a recommendation to the committee on surplus equipment.
Okay. Any questions for the chief at this time? Seeing none, we'll carry on. Community development, there's nothing there. The Middlesex County OPP.
Worship, I'm going to bring forward at our next meeting, a presentation they did in terms of how the OPP calculates our budget or budgets for municipalities. And we did approve, and I will bring that forward, the operating budget for the detachment board for 2026 is basically the same as the budget for 2027. Now, I don't know if council's aware of this. Middlesex Center covers the budget to the end of the year, look at the actual expenditures and a proration, send it out. So the budget last year was just north of 27,000, only spent 12. A portion of that is 12%. So our portion is 12% of $12,000 for 2025. Okay. And the other thing is, I'm speaking with the clerk is working with the OPP to set up a time when the inspector and the chair of the detachment board will come and do a presentation specifically for Middlesex Center. They've started those of other communities. We're on the list. We'll see that sometime in March or April.
Okay. Any questions for Councilor Keel?
Thank you, Mayor Rob. My question to you, Councillor Irwin, is do I ask you or do I need to contact Middlesex County in order to have more of an OPP police radar presence on County Road 19 in the hamlet of Nairn? We have extremely fast trucks moving, going through there. And I think what people fail to realize is that is a school bus turning area going into the East Williams School. I'm afraid someday that one's not going to get settled down in time. So I'd like to see an increased police presence there.
So go ahead.
So that was raised at the last meeting specifically for Thames Center. So we can have them to increase that for that area as well. So the issue of school bus safety is an issue for other parts of our Middlesex County community as well. So I think we should forward that to Inspector, and he can add that to what he's already said he would commit to do for Thames Center.
Thank you.
In the past, we have also contacted them from the municipality as well, have contacted the OPP, and we've gotten some pretty good results, at least temporary results.
I know we, back 3, 4, possibly 5 years ago, we did put in signs in Nairn to get traffic to slow down.
Yeah.
And it did work for a while, but having been looking out my living room window for the last month at the amount of truck traffic going through there, that's exceedingly, it's not just truck traffic, it's
Yeah.
all passenger vehicle traffic as well. That we certainly do need a police presence there to get things slowed down. And not only that, if we can contact Middlesex County to even, because I know any post that goes in on that road has to go through Middlesex County's approval to have it that there is school bus turning.
Okay. All right, we can do that from the municipality requesting those signage. For signage, that would
Please.
be the municipality that would do that.
It just,
I think that's a great idea.
and it just does reinforce, they got to slow down.
But I think also besides you doing that, the municipality, we should be contacting the OPP, asking for that presence.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Deputy Mayor Hodgins.
Through Mayor Ropp to the Councillor of the Middlesex County Detachment Board. Are we still working with an acting commander, or is there any procedure going forward to get a full-time?
He's acting, he's renewed for another 3 months, so he's in the position to the end of June. Where it goes from there, I don't know.
Okay. All right, anything else on that? Seeing nothing, other business? Counselor Nerda, then Counselor Daigle.
I have a few. The first one is for Brandon. Did we ever get a report to council regarding the renovations at the Park Hill Community Center, and if how the project went and if we came under or above budget?
So to the mayor, to the councillor, no, you guys have not received one yet. We are still working through a final issue around the entrance. I believe I've mentioned to you specifically, councillor, just with a little bit of a safety concern. So we're working with the contractor to try and mitigate that risk. And then once that is complete, I will bring the report that fully identifies funds spent, what was budgeted, why any overages occurred, if any do, and what was received back from the grant through the county.
Thank you, Brandon.
Okay.
Keep going. Okay. This one I think is for Felicia. So if you remember, we had a meeting with businesses back in the fall of 2025, and we discussed setting up an email chain with the businesses in Park Hill, North Middle, and Elsa Craig. And I have talked to a few businesses, and that seems to not have gone anywhere. They haven't received any correspondence. So can you give an update on what the status is of that program? Call it what you will.
Yeah, thank you, and through the mayor to the councillor. So approximately a week or two after that meeting, then I sent out through our Embrace North Middlesex, that's what we were branding the email thread, as well as our new social stream. So businesses, I sent it to every business contact that I had in the area of all of North Middlesex, and they could sign up for Park Hill Main Street specifically, Elsa Craig Main Street specifically, and then all of North Middlesex businesses. I did receive quite a few confirmations, I guess, to sign up for that, and I have sent out 2 or 3 emails about local businesses, local events, local and there hasn't been anything emergent for, let's say, a water main break or something on a main street that would affect a business. But communications have been going out to those.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay. And then I have one more, and
Okay.
it's for our clerk. So currently, as you know, there is a 2-hour parking bylaw. How do we get on Main Street? How do we get the signs put up? Is that something that we need to bring back to council?
Thank you, and through you to the counselor. There currently is not a 2-hour parking bylaw in place. Council passed a motion to institute 2-hour parking, and then council brought it back to consider the implications of amending the existing parking bylaw, which does not include the 2-hour. And council at that time decided to defer as part of reviewing the entire municipality through the municipal-wide parking evaluation, as well as the capacity constraints currently affecting the department. Happy to report that the municipal-wide parking review is underway, and we're making good progress on that, so council will see a report back.
So my understanding that we do have we passed a bylaw for 2-hour parking.
Thank you, and through you, council did not pass a bylaw.
I stand corrected.
Okay, Counselor Daigle.
Thank you. Through you to Sam. 2 questions. First one, we got a notice on Facebook or one of those about 82 Queens sewer issue. Is it fixed? And what happened?
To your worship, to the counselor. So it is fixed as of this morning. What we ended up finding was that there was a blockage. It was kind of hard to tell on the camera based on the sewer being blocked, but from what we could see on the camera, it looked to be disposable wipes, a buildup of disposable wipes. So they were able to bring a vac truck in and flush it out, and it is cleared. So that was cleared as of this morning, and it was a disposable wipe issue.
Okay. And number 2 is the Van Osh issue for the safe turning by that bridge. I know it's the other county that is in charge, but they were kind of balking on it, and there was talk that we were going to approach that county to see.
Yeah, through your worship, the counselor. So I did connect Van Osh's Brendan specifically with Chris from County of Middlesex, because that side of that road is County of Middlesex, not the other county that they were dealing with. I saw email exchanges between the 2 of them. I know they were looking to set up a site meeting, and I haven't seen or heard anything since. So the last I saw, the 2 of them were arranging to meet on site and talk about it further, and then I haven't heard anything since.
So we'll get an update later. Yeah.
I'll follow up with the Middlesex County engineer as well. All right.
Fall under the cracks.
Yep. I'll follow up with him as well.
Thank you, Mayor Rapp.
Sorry.
I have a question now that our local boy is heading off to the moon. Has anyone followed up to see if that property has been cleaned up? It hasn't? No.
Thank you, and through you, I would caution that identifiable individuals and properties should not be discussed in open session. However, I would let council know that we are aware of it, and it was brought to council in a closed session for the update, transferred to the building department for follow-up.
So we can expect a report on that in the near future enclosed.
Thank you, and through you, bylaw enforcement matters, specifically for follow-up. It is very difficult to say what council is privy to, but I can say that staff are aware of it and that we were following up on the matter to the best of our ability.
Thank you. My next question is for our community development people over there. I don't know if Brandon wants to answer or Felicia. I did speak with you briefly before. I had a lot of calls about where the hell family day breakfast was, and there wasn't one. Is there a reason for that? What happened to it? There's a lot of people want to go.
Right. So through the mayor to the councillor, the family day breakfast, we didn't receive anything through community development fund with it. Certainly from my knowledge, there was nothing on our end that caused the issue. The group that provided it still did a skate at the arena and still did their Olympic event. So I'm not 100% sure on what happened with the breakfast, other than we didn't have any request for rental or anything of that nature. So
Will we be looking to have someone or some entity provide that next year?
certainly if that's the will of council, is to provide something like that, we can look into doing that. And we can certainly reach out to the past provider and see what happened as follow-up.
Thank you, because I like to attend. I don't want to organize, but I will attend.
He'll at least wash the dishes though. Anything else? Okay. Any other business?
Well, since the councilor mentioned Family Day, I want to say that I did make the Family Day lunch at the rec center in Elsa Craig, and it was packed with young children.
Yep.
I'm surprised always by the number of young children we have in our community. And many of them were elementary age or even younger. So it was a good event. And perhaps the council would chair a Family Day breakfast in future. 'Cause
Yeah.
I understand he's looking for something to do next year.
Yes,
you.
I think that's a great point because there was a lot of work put into it and there was a lot of families, a lot of kids attended the events and it was a great event. Yeah. Any other business? No, seeing none. We can move on. Communications, including Middlesex County report, and you see the tax ratio bylaws there. Yep.
For the deferred items for the Damon Optimal Program update, that's been on the agenda for some time. What are we doing about it?
So they're coming before council. When is that? March?
Through your worship, March 18th.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, yeah, we talked I think last meeting, you brought that up, that it was coming. Go ahead.
Well, what impact will the county's tax increase have on the average home?
No, 3.8% on the county's portion. I'm not sure depends what your county's portion is. So, if $1,000 of it is that's the portion, then it's 3.7%.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor.
Thank you.
I'll provide that when I bring in the tax levy bylaw.
That'll be next meeting then?
He doesn't care. He just wanted to get me.
Well, people are asking me how much their taxes are going up and then of course the county is going to contribute to that. So I don't know. I can't give them.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Seeing none, reading the bylaws.
Thank you, and through you. So bylaws for first and second reading tonight would be 13 to 18, 22 to 25 of 2026, first and second time.
First and second, Deputy Mayor Hodgins, Councillor Keo, all in
Second.
favor? Carried. Go ahead.
Third and final would be 2 to 3, 13 to 18, 22 to 25 of 2026, third and final.
Which ones were those again?
2 to 3, 13 to 18, 22 to 25, 2026, third and final.
A third and final, Councillor Serna. Councillor Irwin, all in favor? Carried, thank you. And just one more item of business, adjournment. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. There was a lot going on here tonight and really 8 o'clock, that's not too bad considering. Adjournment moved by Councillor Nerda, seconded by Councillor Keo, all in favor? Carried, thank you, everyone. Yeah.